What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So Kingdom Hearts 3 finally comes over to Steam, so it's much easier here to check it out on Steam Deck and see what kind of performance we're getting and not having to use any of the other launchers or anything like that. So we'll go through here, take a look at a few different scenes and settings and see how we're doing for performance. Let's go ahead, we'll get into it and we'll take a look at the settings real quick. This game's pretty easy to run, so I'm not going to go too deep with a whole lot of settings and checking everything out because there's plenty of room here for you to play. But 800p here, 100% on the resolution scale to start with, unlock frame rate to see what we're doing. And then over here, we're going to be medium on the preset. Now, the thing is, if you want to make any changes, unlike most games where once you set the preset, you could go in here and make a change and then it'll switch to custom. You can't do that here or click on anything. So after you set your preset, if you want to change something individually, like for me, I want motion blur off, just click custom here. That'll keep whatever preset you had on. And then you can go here and make whatever changes you want to make to your anti-aliasing, your occlusion, your motion blur, whatever. I'm leaving it all at medium. I just wanted to turn motion blur off for this one. So anyway, 800p, 100% resolution scale, medium preset, 4 gigs of VRAM here on the Steam Deck. And ultimately, I thought this ran really well. You can certainly bring some settings down a little bit if you need to, and we can work with that resolution scale, which we'll take a look at as well. But for the most part, I'm happy with medium settings, and there's plenty of room here to lock this game down to 30 FPS, 40 FPS, 45, 60, and just play however you want to play here. Some of us are going to prefer more frame rate and some of us are going to prefer less or more battery or whatever the case may be. And with this game, it's not going to be that hard to really adjust it and run it however you want. You can see here ultimately performance is pretty good. We do lose GPU usage a lot of the time though, without seeing super high CPU all the time. So I don't know if it's a core thing or a driver thing, or maybe game updates eventually, because this did just come out. But I noticed it on other handhelds as well, not just the Steam Deck. All around, all the handhelds I've tested this on, there are just oddities when it comes to dips in the resources being used, the performance, and like the frame times and dipping in frame rate. But other than that though, overall, I think it runs really good and there's a lot of room here to play around and get it how you want. Now, when it comes to that resolution scale, let's go ahead, pause this and take a look at our settings, go into display, and we'll go ahead and switch this down to 75. You've got 50, 75, a few other options here. 50 is a little rough. I'll do 75 and just show the difference here. We're going to go up about 20, 25 FPS, sometimes more there. And it does the same thing on the other handhelds as well. The resolution definitely makes a difference, even though we see a similar thing with the resources being used and all that. Of course, if you want to lock down your frame rate to 60 or 30 in game or on your deck, you can do that and help yourself out as well. So we added more overhead with the 75%. Then we locked it to 60. And for the most part, gives us a really smooth experience on here, but there are plenty of times that is still gonna dip and come under 60. There's no real true lock 60. Even if I bring the settings down lower than this, which I've messed around with, there's still no real 100% lock 60 because there's just these odd dips and things that are going to happen in the game. Again, even when you don't see super high usage, it just tends to happen, and it's not really a deck thing. It's all the handhelds I've tried it on. But yeah, ultimately you're able to run it really well here, and it's fine. I just stick with the 100% scale for myself and pretty much these medium settings, but you can mess around and get it to run however you want there. I'm going to pop things back over to 100% here. If I was at 75, I would maintain 60 in this battle much easier though. I did notice that, but I was recording and running the 100 here, which allowed it to dip under, but it felt fine on the Steam Deck, didn't have any problem with that. But if you don't want that to happen, you could keep that 75, or like I said, a lot of you might just opt for that 30 or 40 or 45 FPS experience on the Steam Deck, and it might depend on if you're on LCD or on the OLED. I happen to be doing most of all my testing here on the OLED for this game, so that's pretty much where we're at with that. Of course, usually running my 4 gigs of VRAM, which worked out just fine for this game. It doesn't require a ton, so there weren't really any issues there, and we had plenty dedicated for what the game wanted. And of course, the ship area where you travel back and forth and all that runs super easy. You won't have any trouble there. There are in-town areas that run a little rough though, to be aware of. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we need to show here. Like I said, I don't need to go too deep. The game's fairly easy to run. It does need some fixes and stuff with some of those drops, but other than that, I thought it played pretty well, and some frame rate capping helps with some of that as well, especially if we're going on the lower end there. But anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.